Are you looking to become a Tier 1 operator in the gaming world? Elevate your games with Blacksite Studio Terrain.
You are listening to the SitRep Podcast, your home for everything related to modern wargaming. Whether it's reviews, rules analysis, play-by-plays, hobby time, or even gameplay videos, we will bring it all to you. And now for your hosts. From England, we have Ralph. From the Great White North of Canada, Chris. Our historical editor, Big Jim Oriskany, and G, both from the United States. And now, sit back, relax, and get ready for the ultimate ride into modern wargaming.
Hello, everybody. This is G, and we are back for another big, exciting episode of the SitRep Podcast, your home for everything related to military wargaming. From a historical standpoint, as I was reminded just previously. Right, Gaz?
Yep, I'm here to keep you straight.
All right, I appreciate that. You know, freaking bloody English people always got to make us look stupid over here in the U.S. of A, but, you know, hey, whatever. Just kidding, of course. With us today is the command team. So here in the United States studio is myself and Marty.
Good morning, all.
And over down in sunny Florida is Big Jim Oriskany.
That's what they say.
And over in England, we have Gaz, who, are you quarantined yet, Gaz?
I'm separated.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And then there is Ralph. Hey, Ralph, what's going on over there?
What, you mean apart from England's looking like the beginning of 28 days later? I don't know.
I was thinking more of Shaun of the Dead, myself.
Right?
Come on.
Unless you've watched that YouTube video where he says, "Don't go to the Winchester."
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet, but I saw that they made something. So, you know, obviously everybody probably has on their mind the coronavirus issue that's around the world now and affecting just about everybody. You know, it's pretty much shut down countries.
Yeah.
You know, even
how about it?
U.S. of A. here in Illinois, our governor put us into shelter in place. But, you know, it doesn't really... It's a suggestion, would you say?
Yeah, well, yeah, they have a broad list of what are essential occupations and such. Fortunately, I'm not in one, so I'll be at the house, you know, working from home, if you can't see my air quotes. It might look a lot like me painting because, well, my work at home station is actually my paint station.
Yeah, and then there's me who has to go in every day and work 16 to 19 hours a day. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Somebody's got to carry the load for the rest of us.
Somebody's got to be on the front lines fighting it. All right, so let's shift gears and get away from the realities of the world, and let's talk about some fun stuff, right? That's why we're all here, to talk about our hobby in gaming and, you know, chill and grab your favorite beverage, you know, life or juice or tea for you civilized people, you know, or a whiskey or whatever it may be.
Yes.
Okay, so I thought we'd start off and see what everybody's up to over these times. I've had zero time for hobby over the last couple weeks. Like I said, I've been working almost 6 days a week, 16 to 19 hours a day. So I've had zero time, and I appreciate everybody who's picked up the slack on Bruin Views. Much appreciated. Gaz, you're turning out some tremendous minis, and it's really making me look bad, I have to say. I am so jealous.
That dude with the tracksuit is awesome.
Yeah, the Adidas suit looks really good. So.
I tried to pull that off with my guy, and if you recall, there are no stripes on my dude because I couldn't pull it off.
So why don't we start with you, Gaz? What have you been up to hobby-wise or gaming?
Well, painting Adidas tracksuits took me long, you know. That's the main sort of historical I've done. I've prepped 2 models. I say historical, they're there's kind of the caricatures from the Viking series. So I've got Ragnar Lothbrok, who was a real person, and Lagertha as well. So those two are prepped. They're primed. And I'm just going to finish off the last of the 13 hours equals 13 days members, which is my leader, who I want to put some time into as well. And then those will be my next two. So yeah, this week is pretty much just last sort of period. I've cleaned them two up, got them built, and just been ticking along with the painting. So yeah, not a huge amount, but just getting ready. Although now that I'm off, I can see myself doing a lot more, let's be honest.
Excellent. So do we have touring we need to send and get done? Can we send him? So what projects can we have him do while he's got free time?
Well, we do need to get the rest of our bad guys. Don't we?
You know what? Don't worry, Gaz. I'm going to send you another shipment of bad guys. So,
well, I can pick some up this end if needs be.
Okay, well, however we can get them quicker would probably be best. You know, you're closer to Spectre than we are, so
yeah.
So it might be prudent just to have them sent directly to you. So
cool.
We'll do that. Ralph, how about you?
Not a zero as well, because we've been getting into work and then prepping everything, starting to ship stuff into drives and stuff so I can work from home from Monday. So I'm going to be working from home from Monday, but I'm going to have to work from home. There's none of this sitting around painting minis, you know. So I've actually got to do some work from home. So that's been me. So I've done very little, unfortunately, as much as I would like to, but just it takes its toll on travelling an hour every day to get to work and then basically be told, yeah, you've got to come into work. And because I travel on public transport and my wife is under one of the at-risk categories with her having a medical condition, I still had to travel to work because it's you if you're in an at-risk category, not your relatives.
Gotcha.
So it's been fun, but as of Monday, working from home, and we think within the university, because I work at a university, maybe September.
Really? Wow.
Could be.
Jeez.
Nobody knows. Really, the universities and the education institutions have no idea. So they've cancelled all the schools in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
There's no schools anymore. It looks like that exams might be put off, or if they're in a final year and they've got a high enough pass rate throughout that full year, that will just go straight out.
Yeah, well, that makes the most sense for seniors or, final year.
Instead of cancelling the, instead of just having them come in September to sit an exam, which will then has a knock-on effect to the new first years coming in.
Yeah.
So nobody knows what's going on. Yeah. Really, no idea within education what's happening. So
yeah,
it's been fun.
Oh yeah, it's been fun. All right, Jim, it's in your court. Wallace.
I've had quite a bit of, kind of like Ralph was saying, work from home when you work for a tech company is not sit around and paint miniatures. I'm actually working right now. I'll log off in another 20 minutes. So if you hear some keyboards in the background, I do apologize. But you do what you have to make it work. We have no idea what's going on over here. Hobby-wise, there's been a lot going on. I'm happy to say, although I did miss last podcast, so I've got like a month's worth of reporting.
All right, go for it. It's all you.
Weeks. We've just done, Iwo Jima's 75th anniversary. We've done a Op Center podcast for that, and we've also done an actual demo game for that in Valorant Victory. We finished up our Air Wars C-21 Yankee Squadron series. We're working on a game later today for Valorant Victory, Dien Ben Phu, with my friend Piotr over there in Poland. HK Ops Syria Part 3 is closing out tomorrow. That actually will be broadcast tomorrow, I think at 1 p.m. Eastern, so I think that's still 5 p.m. GMT for the moment. And we're still kicking around the idea of Sons of Liberty, although there hasn't been a whole lot of interest in that, so that project might get dropped. I'm also trying to come up with a new name for that because I don't really like Sons of Liberty for a couple of reasons. But yeah, there's been a lot going on, so trying to stay busy.
Excellent. So the Sons of Liberty is based on the War of Independence?
is, the American Revolution. It's command tactical scale, roughly reinforced company level. So you can put a battle like Oriskany on the table with like maybe 7 to 8 pieces per side. That's a super small version. If you wanted to get crazy, you could do something like Long Island or Monmouth with a couple hundred pieces on the table. But we've been playtesting with some hypothetical games and a sort of a alternate history third year of upstate New York campaign in 1778, which of course didn't really happen. We've done some other smaller stuff like Hubbardton, which was historical, and Trenton we've done 3 times historical, and that's yielding some strange results. So the game works. It's not quite as fast as I'd like, and I'm trying. Every time I start to put a video together for it, I trip over the name. Sons of Liberty has been used a lot. It's been overused. Yeah. There's even a dumbass post-apocalyptic video game called Sons of Liberty, which is just stupid. Sons of Liberty has been used a couple times as a actual American Revolution war game. It's also very partisan. It's very biased. Also, Sons of Liberty was never a military unit. That's a borderline terrorist organization in Boston back in the day. So we're trying to come up with a couple names. Once we come up with a couple names, I hope to put out maybe a short, 5-minute intro video for it. Maybe that'll drum up some interest. But again, every time I start to write the script for it, I trip over the name. There's a lot of cool names on them, but there's been a lot of those names have been taken. There's rebels and redcoats, there's patriots and loyalists, there's a lot of other things like that out there. So we got to come up with a name for it, because Sons of Liberty has always been kind of a working title. I need a real title, and then from there we can continue, either rolling it out or just play testing it, or just go ahead and drop in the project. So we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in seeing what comes of it. I mean, I imagine we could get a person or two that be interested in playing it. So
maybe,
So I hate to see it fade away, because it's one of those conflicts that obviously interests us over here, and it'd be really cool to get a Brit to play the Brits and an American to play the rebels, and see how we could, if we repeat history or not. So maybe
you are the terrorists in that fight, aren't you? Just to be clear,
terrorists.
Yeah,
and it's running through Ralph's mind right now is die rebel scum.
I've got a set of drums in the background. Flags have gone up, and yeah.
Well, I'm thinking, Jim, what do you think of a little friendly competition? We get one of the team from overseas, over in England, to play against somebody over here, and the winner, gets to gloat a little bit, obviously, but the loser on the next podcast, after that game is concluded, would have to, it'd either be, long live the Queen, or, the Empire, or whatever, or, you have to be an American for the day, or, whatever. So.
Well, the thing with any American Revolution war game is, there's a couple things. Number one, why the American Revolution is not a bigger thing in miniature gaming, it quite frankly escapes me. I have a couple ideas. I mean, the American Civil War is so damn boring to paint. I mean, there's some great battles in there, but it's boring to paint, number one, and the battles are huge.
Yeah.
They're very large, so they're difficult to do on a miniatures table. I mean, there are some miniature games out there that I won't mention. They're very, very bad. As far as, trying to encompass the scale of what those battles were actually like. I honestly think those battles would fit better, or I should say those game systems that would fit better in an American Revolution setting, because the American Revolution is like 10% the size. The largest battle in the American Revolution, depending on who you read, is either Monmouth or Long Island. There's like total 20,000 people involved. Waterloo was 250,000. So it was literally like 10 times the size. And Gettysburg was like 160, 170,000. So, number one. Number two, it's a lot more interesting to paint. Number three, there's more factions involved. I mean, I understand why it might not be big in the UK, because people like to do Napoleonics instead. But given the amount of because let's face it, when people talk about Napoleonics lately, they're talking about something in the peninsula. They're talking about something like Sharp's Practice. I could count on one hand the number of people who set up a battle like Leipzig or Leipzig, however you pronounce it, Waterloo, Austerlitz, Borodino, one of the big Napoleonic battles, and done it right.
Yeah.
What people are doing is, I've seen Sharp's rifles. I think that's really cool. So I'm going to have this tiny little skirmish battle. And, that's the American Revolution. Sharp's rifles, Sharp's practice, the entire Peninsula campaign is the American Revolution, the sequel. As far as the size of the battles, the type of skirmish battles, the underdeveloped roads, infrastructures, bridges, cities that were in Spain at the time, the American Revolution is the French and Indian War, the sequel, and the Peninsula Campaign in Napoleonics is the American Revolution, the sequel. As popular as Napoleonics is, especially in the UK, and given the type or the theater or whatever you want to call it, the subgenre of Napoleonics that's really popular. Okay, I understand why it might not be popular in the UK, but why, when Americans go to Black Powder, they always go to the Civil War, is a little surprising. But I don't know. One reason, and this goes to your point, you were talking about a competition between the UK and the US. Mm-hmm. This might be the reason, is the Americans lose 9 out of 10 of those battles. I mean, it's great to sit here and say, don't tread on me and, wave, 13 stars, 13 stripes around it. But if you're a historian and you're talking about wargaming, you're talking about doing it right, and you're an American, you better have a thick skin when you walk into the American Revolution, because we lose almost all of those battles. It's a miracle we won that war at all, and we only won because we had some very powerful friends.
Yeah.
So you really have to, make peace with your well, number one, your nationalistic pride, your patriotism. You have to kind of set that at the door. And number two, you have to really get cozy with your asymmetrical victory conditions. Can they win? Can they delay the British? Can they just continue to exist? I mean, Nathaniel Greene's whole campaign in North and South Carolina is, well, we lost again, but we continue to exist, so let's chalk it up as a win. I mean, you're basically the Viet Cong. In some ways, mm-hmm. especially in some of the other theaters way out west, out by you, Jenna, Fort Kaskaskia, places like that, Vincennes, up north, Oriskany, Hubbardton, Saratoga, and especially down in the south, you got battles like Kings Mountain, you got Cowpens, you got Camden Courthouse, Guilford Courthouse. It gets nasty, where it's a guerrilla war half the time. Half the time it's not even a full-pitched battle. Half the time it's American versus American, especially in the South. So you have to sort of, it's not the usual red versus blue kind of thing. So we could have a battle, if you wanted to, or a game, if we ever get this, finished through development. But the American player is going to have to realize that, you're definitely playing the underdog, and your mission is going to be, did you slow them down? Did you bleed them a little? And, were you still standing at the end?
I was going to say, if victory conditions are, are you still alive? I'm in.
Challenge accepted.
Because
it's going to be harder than you think. It's going to be harder than you think. Because look at let's do Kips Bay, where the first Royal Marine stepped out of the longboat coming over from Brooklyn, and the entire Connecticut militia line dropped their weapons and ran away. They ran right by Washington, near where 42nd Street is today, and that was it. That was the battle. When the first fire, because the morale rules are pretty realistic or whatever, and when the first volley fires and half your army runs away, welcome to the American Revolution. This whole idea that the Minuteman was, like some simple farmer that was gonna, oh look, I'm gonna throw down my pitchfork and pick up my daddy's shotgun and defeat the most powerful and well-trained European army on earth. It didn't go like that. So, yeah, if we do have a game, it's going to be tough. But then again, sometimes it's the other way. One of the battles that we've been failing as far as playtesting go is Trenton. Trenton, of course, the famous, Christmas 1776 battle or whatever, where Washington surprised 900 Hessians. His casualties in that battle were effectively 0. Mm-hmm. He had, I think, 2 or 3 died of exposure walking towards the battlefield, but really nobody was significantly killed or wounded. Well, this works out. And Sons of Liberty at the moment is a game of like 80 men per company or whatever, 50 to 80 men per piece. So what this works out to in game terms is you're not allowed to lose a single piece. Not one.
Ouch.
Well, it's victory conditions. It's historical victory conditions. And, if you did worse than the real person did, you lose. If you do better, then you win. The historical result is the draw line in the victory conditions, This is kind of what G was up against when she was playing the Harriers and the Falklands, How many Harriers were you allowed to lose in that game, G? You were allowed to lose 0 because the British lost 0 Harriers in the Falklands War. So the game has to be able to reflect that.
Yeah.
So you wind up with some really one-sided victory conditions. And again, that's part of what makes the American Revolution interesting, but it is also part of what makes it very challenging to do, especially from a game designer perspective.
I think it's still a good area to explore, and why not put it on the game table and see what happens, right?
And it turns out I lose like a champ, so apparently I'm the perfect person to play this.
There you go.
So we could get like Gaz or Ralph to play, and one of the conditions is if they lose, they have to drink iced sweet tea.
Where the hell do I get that from?
We'll send it.
You brew it.
No, we can't let them brew it. They'll mess it up.
Once I've got a caveat to that. My wife is American, so.
Oh, well, there you go. She might know. Is she from the South?
No, exactly.
She's from Ohio.
No, she's from Ohio.
Yeah.
No, she can figure it out.
Hey, like John Adams wrote. Look, this war is going to start, and it's going to divide the country into thirds. There's going to be a third that is rebel patriots. There's going to be a third that are hardcore loyalists to the crown, and there's going to be a third that just don't give a damn. So yeah, I get the Battle of Oriskany. Hello, Oriskany.
Right.
Hello.
One of the bloodiest battles in in all of American history measured per capita. There wasn't a single Brit there. That was all Americans versus Americans and Iroquois Native Americans. There was no British there. So, there were plenty of Americans loyal to the crown. So, There you go.
Sounds good. Marty, you're up.
Well, due to current health conditions, I have been directed to begin work at home. Actually, I started last Thursday. And I actually have some work that I can do at home, so it's quite disappointing because I actually have to clear my paint table to set up my laptop and whatnot to have a space to work. The good news is I think I'll probably finish everything I have, middle to end of next week, and then all training, I do law enforcement training. All our training has been canceled through the middle of next month and may go beyond that. So there won't be any new classes going in. There won't be any old classes left to process. So after that, I may have a fair amount of free time, and I can take the laptop off my paint station and put my paints back on there. Now, that being said, I still don't work 24/7. So last night I finished painting Hermione from my Harry Potter's miniatures game. So I've got Harry, Ron, and Hermione painted, and just need to do the Death Eaters from the starter set, and we'll be ready to play painted there. I finished all my Crisis Protocol dudes. Pretty happy there. So it's just the starter box. I don't have anything else. If somebody wants to donate to the Marty Schaefer Crisis Protocol Buy All the Characters Fund, please feel free to do so because I love all those minis. So I've been working on that, and then I figure if worse comes to worse, I just received the Spectre Ops starter set with the new rule book. Very excited. We're gonna do an unboxing of that later today, and then if I still have time, I do have my Ice and Fire, a Song of Ice and Fire set that I have not started to paint, and that's like 110 dudes, so that should keep me busy for the foreseeable future.
Cool. I was eyeing up the from Crisis Protocol. I was eyeing up the Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
as set, because I've got Rogue Stars, the Osprey game.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect for Rogue Stars.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think they did such a good job on all those minis. I mean, say what
I regret not buying the Night Models Hulkbuster though. When Night Models owned Marvel as well, because it was Night Models originally had DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
And they got Harry Potter, so they dropped one, didn't they? I wonder which one they dropped, and I wonder why. So, but yeah, there's some nice minis in that Crisis Protocol, really are. Just sculpts look incredible.
Yeah, everything I've seen from them has been a high quality miniature, and just I'm very impressed with them. And I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I'm looking forward to getting to play that here soon. My daughter and her boyfriend are pretty hyped up about playing it as well, so I've got some folks nearby that I can play with.
There you go. Cool. So awesome. All right, let's talk about some news, shall we? Ralph, what do you got for us for news? Anything?
It's Spectre related, actually.
Really?
Speaking of Spectre, in your unboxing a little bit later, Marty, you're going to like that. There was three things that they announced or dropped this past week. They've redone the starter set.
Yeah, what's up with that? I just got the other one.
Coming in April. It's up for pre-order. It's the same cost. They've changed the op in the set now. So I think in the one that Marty's got, you're getting some FSB Spetsnaz.
Yes.
The new one's using the kill team. The Middle Eastern kill team they did, the Insurgent kill team?
Yeah.
The 6 minis. It's that starter set now against some dev crew.
Just ordered it right now.
Yep. And our buddy Chris ordered it yesterday.
Yeah. So it's you're getting the kill team, which is a nice set of minis. I do recommend that set if you can get them by themselves. The dev crew, of course, and the rulebook for the same price. So I think with what's been going on in the world, some of the gaming companies now are starting to look at, let's get things out there for people to play while they're off.
Yeah.
Last week they put up 2 minis. Yeah, they put up a mini and a set. So you've got the first thing they put up was the Aftermath kill team, very apt for the moment. So it's a bunch of guys in basically NBC suits with the masks, carrying modified AKs and stuff. Perfect for your, shall we say, could be used for bank robbers. That's what I thought when I first saw it. Or you could use them as a hazmat unit or whatever. So that's one. They also, Steven's redone, and there's a new version of Baba Yaga coming out.
And
there's a new version of Mr. Wick.
Yep.
And they also launched the Adepticon mini.
And I just ordered both of them.
I've got the Adepticon mini, and I've got the Aftermath team, and I've got Baba Yaga coming. But yes, I think with the Adepticon mini would have probably also been the Salute mini as well.
Yeah,
but like how they did it last year.
Yeah.
And with those 2 shows being cancelled, unfortunately they decided to launch that mini, which is great.
Yeah.
That Adepticon mini looks really nice actually.
It does.
With the full pump.
It really does.
PKM. So.
No, it looks really good.
Firepower for your things. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that was what Spectre announced, and then there was some other stuff as well. PS posted up some pics.
Oh, I haven't seen any. What has he posted recently?
I'll bring it up because Gaz sent us the link.
Yeah, it's Plastic Sword Company stuff, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. Which he posted up on Facebook on his on there. So he posted up some shots of the kits. Of a sprue, and the sprue he posted up was of a scorpion and a scimitar.
Okay.
Which are also on the Plastic Surgery Company Facebook page, and you've got a scorpion next to one of the challengers. It is a challenger, isn't it?
I think so. I'm not going to open
So the PS posted those up this past week. So I think they're getting close to probably doing the launch, because that was supposed to come out at Salute as well. So
Nice.
I think that'll be pushed out, and then of course Gringo 40.
Yeah.
Put some stuff out as well.
Jim, have you seen the new Gringo 40? It's the firefight at the U.S. Embassy.
Oh, cool. No, I haven't seen the miniatures.
Yeah, Saigon 1968, so I'm assuming during TET?
Yeah, that would be 30 January 1968.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be mostly MPs, isn't it?
Well, that's what they show. It says MP dragging wounded buddy out of line of fire, MP advancing.
That's who did most of the fighting at the embassy.
Yeah.
That exact photograph was in our part 5 of our offensive series.
Yeah.
That photo that I think you're talking about.
You've got two of the guys carrying Beretta M12 as well, which is you don't normally see.
Yeah.
From a point of view. And did you see the US Army mini they've done as well with the K9 unit?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. There's a US Army Vietnam Army dog handler with German Shepherd.
Really? Okay, let's take a look. I gotta find
It's on the Gringo 40.
Yeah, I'm on their site right now, so I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Vietnam, here we go. Okay, US Army. Oh yeah, Army dog handler, German Shepherd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
I like the Gringo 40 stuff, but I like the Empress stuff as well.
Yeah, everybody's got some really nice stuff going on right now. So there's a lot of options that you can come up with.
Yeah.
I'm also over on the Black Site Studio page looking at new products there, and they've got some really good stuff. Speaking of which, we need to reach out to them. We need our wall so we can start building our table. Because I am anxious to get Jim's game going, because so we can get that up and running.
Well, we've got the embassy compound here.
Yeah,
so we
start
could
working on that.
start on that.
But Black Site Studio's got some really good stuff out right now.
Is it worth reaching out to them as well, Jay, and getting them on?
Yeah, I will. Now that Adepticon's been canceled and stuff, so and I'm assuming Little Wars is going to be canceled, which is at the end of next month.
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see, but it's probably going to, because we were going to actually do stuff there. And UK Games Expo's been moved to August now. So like the 21st.
If the virus is still as rampant as it is, we don't know. I can possibly see that maybe not going ahead, but that would just, that's just me speculating.
I don't think we'll be in the throes of the virus by August. It's going to run rampant for the next few weeks, and then it's, either you're going to have it or you're not.
Yeah.
So,
from what I've seen in the news, China's already got light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I also played Dark Star with a guy in Shanghai, and they're about to start opening windows over there.
Yeah.
So their length of time through this was something like 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't want to misreport anything, but
December 8th was the first case in.
Yeah, the first case, and then it became like an actual whatever you want to call it, like pandemic or whatever.
Yeah.
They reckon it was as early as mid-November. They just didn't announce it till the 8th of December.
So, yeah, nobody was looking at any. The healthcare system over there is very different. Their government works, if you want to call it that, very different over there. So they're just to try to be optimistic about this, I think most people are taking their timeline and dividing it in half, and they're saying that's what we can expect in some countries here. Some of the countries in Europe, like Italy's in pretty bad shape right now.
Yeah.
But here in the U.S., hopefully in the U.K., we're looking at, I don't know, nobody knows, so I guess I shouldn't say anything. But let's hope that by August this nonsense has blown over, at least for a while. Goddamn, how long can you stop the world?
Exactly. Well, I have
usually
to see.
Stop the world. I want to get off.
So we'll have to see. So yeah, Gringo 40s keeps producing some really great Vietnam miniatures. Empress is cranking out some stuff. I think even Eureka had some stuff come out recently, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, there's a lot of options right now.
There is. There seems to be an influx of different time periods playing now, more than what we used to have. So, we've got, if you think this way, we're going to have Plastic Soldier Company doing Third World War, Team Yankee. We've got Team Yankee as well, of course, from Battle Group. We've got Spectre and Empress doing current conflict, shall we say.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got White Dragon spanning early 2000s to current with their Courage and Conflict series set. And then you've got Empress and Gringo doing Vietnam. You've got everybody doing World War II, and then keep going back and back and back. It's there's a plethora of different genres for people to drop into, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And think, what is it we want to do,
Yep. Well, heck, I still have the Rourke's Drift set, that we can do sometime down the road, and I have the Alamo set that's going to be coming. So, I've got a lot of projects that'll happen down the road. But, first, obviously, everybody, we have to finish our 13 days, 13 hours. Everybody's been putting in a lot of great work on that, and I am very excited to see this start happening from planning to production to actual reality. I know, Jim, you got your game ready to go, and
I have to draw the map for it and do some playtesting.
Okay, so
so I'm close.
Yep. And then Gaz has been producing some awesome bad guys. I can't wait to waste them all. So we'll give them a taste of freedom. So,
does anyone notice a certain trend in what Gianna's interested in?
What's that?
I've actually noticed this recently.
What's that?
You guys know what I'm talking about at this point, right? We're talking about all the battles that Gianna's interested in. We got Rourke's Drift. Okay, we've got the Alamo she just mentioned. We've got Little Bighorn, obviously 7th Cavalry. And for Vietnam, it's Dien Bien Phu. What is going on with Gianna and Last Stands? It's always like these desperate technically even 13 days to 13 hours could almost be considered in this. It's always these desperate Last Stands.
Do you know why?
That's what I'm asking.
I'm going to tell you. Here, I'm going to tell you. Because it brings out the best in people. It either brings out the worst in people or it brings out the best in people. So, that it shows the mettle of the soldier or leader during those battles. Custer, let's be honest, he screwed that pooch on that one, right? We all know the rule. Don't split your forces and, don't go charging into an unknown enemy. And he broke every rule of combat. So, and he paid for it. Unfortunately, his people paid for it. So, 224 lives lost. But then you look at Rourke's Drift, and you had 160 guys, approximately, who stood their ground against incredible odds and were able to stand off and survive. Yes, if the Zulus had continued, they would have been wiped out, but I think the Zulus decided it wasn't worth the cost at that point in time. So,
according to the Zulus, they'd already won that battle.
Yeah, so... Well, if you look at Ishlan Wanda, if you think of Rourke's Drift as an extension of that battle, which a lot of people will argue it is, then yes, Zulus won, right?
It's the thing about historical study or historical wargaming, but historical study in general is your most valuable tool in that hobby or whatever is objectivity. And obviously the British consider them two separate battles, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is another side to that battle. War does require two sides, and the other side considers that, like, you actually talk to Zulu historians, that there are Zulu historians, they're still a nation. They consider that all one battle. And that detachment that attacked Rourke's Drift, their objective was, holy crap, we missed the battle. We have to bloody our spears. We have to take some casualties so that we can say that we were in this battle. And it wasn't just glory. It was, their families are going to be taken care of. They own land. Their whole law system within their tribe or whatever is based on whether or not your warriors participated in this war or this campaign or this battle. They attacked, they bloodied their spears, and they took a hell of a lot of casualties. So now they could say, we were in the Battle of Iswandala, or if I'm not pronouncing that right. And so their victory conditions were technically met. So yeah, like the movie, they stood up on that ridge, they sang their song, and they left. They were happy.
Yeah.
It's one of those, and okay, to bring it back to wargaming, war game design, and we're going to run across a lot of this in Sons of Liberty, or whatever we wind up calling it eventually, is the problem with asymmetric victory conditions. This happens in Vietnam, this happens in almost anything modern, is with asymmetric victory conditions, both sides can say they won. And both sides can lose. Both sides claim victory in Tet. Both sides claim victory in, a lot of these battles. And there's a real case. It's not just, thumping your chest. It really is. Both sides can win and both sides can lose.
No, that's an excellent point.
Yeah, you got to watch out for it in wargaming, because this might be why you don't see a lot of modern stuff in tournaments, because you know what tournaments require? Nice, crisp, clean victory conditions, and that's what you don't get in modern war, because modern war isn't very clear cut.
Yeah,
sometimes
it's definitely not clear.
Yeah, that's very true.
I tell you what, what's interesting though is currently, when we're talking about different time periods to play in and things like that, yeah. Have we noticed that Warlord haven't done much since releasing that Korean book?
No, they really haven't, have they?
We've had some additional kits, but nothing else. It's quite interesting that they did this, they created that kit, and then they've now jumped back to doing Stalingrad, haven't they?
Well, they've done Stalingrad on their page right now, and then their big thing is Victory at Sea, which I really want, because I'd like to try it, and I'd like to see Jim's opinion on it as well, because it's, what scale is it at? It's at 1 to 1800, is that right? Let me look. I'm on it right now. Yep, 1 to 1800 scale.
Yeah, 1 to 1800 is pretty common. Sea Krieg, I think, used to do 1 to 1800. I've got some stuff from old Axis and Allies War at Sea. Surprise, surprise. 1 to 1800. We did 1 to 1800 in our Midway series, where we worked with naval-war.com. If you ever want to check out a free free download, print and play. You will need your own miniatures, obviously. My friend Ecclesiastes, over there on Tabletop, we collaborated way back in 2017 for the 75th anniversary of Midway. And we refought Midway at 1 to 1800, or certain parts of Midway at 1 to 1800. Tough to do in a carrier battle, but you can set up individual strikes and parts of the battle. 1 to 1800, a battleship is going to be about 4 to 5 inches. Carrier's going to be about 5 to 5.5 inches, and your destroyers are going to be maybe 3 inches long or something like that. It's I'm not exactly sure on those numbers. I'll probably check it in a minute and be embarrassed. But it's it depends on the game system. I mean, it's not going to be a true WYSIWYG one scale, scale to scale kind of thing, because these battleships fire from 20 miles away. But and never mind carriers. But if there's a rule in there where it's okay, the ship is always considered to be at the tip of the bow or at the point of the stern, or if there's a white dot in the middle of the miniature or something like that, it could definitely work. And it's hey, naval wargaming. It might be a pain, but what's great about it? The terrain is usually pretty easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Get a nice big blue sheet, bam, you're done.
I was going to say.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to look at.
All right, you sold me.
People aren't sure about the basis for those.
I just bought it.
I was gonna say, have we even started the Spend G's money segment of the show yet?
Well, let's see. I've already bought the Spectre starter set today, and now I just bought the Victory at Sea, the U.S. Navy pre-order exclusive bundle.
Just curious.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one.
Does it list the ships that are in there?
Yeah. Give me a second. Let me.
Gee,
I'm just curious.
Got it up here.
What's that?
The Arizona. I've got it up here.
Okay, go ahead.
The Arizona. Sorry, it's the 2 ships that they mentioned. Well, you get a free Arizona.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. Stop. Rant. Why?
It's free. It's free. It's a bonus.
But why?
Yeah, it's included in this starter set. You're getting
No, you will never use it.
Because it's going to be a what if. It's got to be a what if. They wouldn't have put the miniature in if there wasn't going to be a stat block for it.
Well, I know, but
yeah, I know. Yeah. Anyway, and,
Real quick,
the Idaho.
If you want the Idaho, okay, more battleships.
And then you've got to. And
go ahead and read the list there, Ralph.
It's on there. The thing, it doesn't say what other ships. It just says a starter set. You're getting the Altmark, a German tanker.
But why? That's not Pacific War.
Hold on. You're asking like 7 questions. Okay, Altmark was right before Norway. There was actually a pretty famous British boarding action that helped start the Norwegian the part of that campaign in the very beginning part of 1940. USS Arizona. Okay, no, you're never going to use USS Arizona. Number one, it would be borderline disrespectful, even if it was a what if. However, warships are built in classes. They take one set of blueprints and they build like 4 or 5 ships, or if it's a Fletcher class destroyer, 300 or 400 ships that all look exactly alike. So USS Arizona won't do anything in a Pacific War. However, her sister ship, USS Pennsylvania, was all over the place. She put boot to ass on the Japanese Empire from one side of the mighty Pacific to the other. She was there all through it. So a miniature USS Arizona you would get a hell of a lot of use for, especially if it's the postmodern, which it would have to be the postmodern with the dry pod mask, not that goofy looking lattice mask. You would get a lot of use out of USS Arizona. Strange. You just named it the Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the Altmark and the Arizona are pre-order bonuses, G, if you look.
No, I see that. I was just looking in the starter set. So you get the USS Idaho.
It's one of the more modern battleships.
And then in the actual U.S. fleet, you're getting the New Mexico class battleship New Mexico, which was a 41 to 42 battleship. You're getting the Essex carrier USS Essex, easy for me to say.
Yeah.
You're getting the U.S.
Why have a gun battle, kind of a naval game, when carriers, totally dominated that war?
Right.
Carriers and submarines. There's this thing called nighttime. And they didn't really have radar in those days. There was no really night operations off carriers, not until the very, very end of the war. In fact, USS Enterprise was the first carrier to really go into night ops. And that's the last couple months of the war. Until then, there was a lot of naval action, surface action. It was all at night. So again, you were asking whether or not the game system was any good. I haven't downloaded any rules yet. I have to look at that, but we'd have to make peace with night fighting rules.
Yeah.
And there are a number of night fighting campaign battles and campaigns. Savo Island, Tessafaranga, Cape Esperance, the Second Solomons. There's a litany of 4 or 5 really nasty night fighting battles in the Solomon Islands, late 42, early 43. That's exactly some of the ships that you mentioned are specifically in those battles. That's clearly what they're aiming at. It's the one part of the Pacific War where the odds are almost even.
Okay.
So, if you want to get into naval combat in the Pacific, because this has come up before in Pacific Fleets series, in the Midway series, and a bunch of other stuff. Commodore Rob helped me with a series we did on cruiser actions in World War II way back in 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's look at the Solomons, late 42, early 43.
Okay. So I was looking at the starter set that comes with this bundle, and in the starter set, there's 15 ships. The USS Indianapolis. Isn't that the one that sank?
A lot of them sank, but USS Indianapolis was one of them.
Isn't that the one that was carrying the bomb?
No. That's the one where people tell that story, but that's...
I thought it was on the mission to carry... Well, I don't know. There's also the USS Northampton, And then the good old USS Chicago.
There you go.
And then
Where they served only Italian beef sandwiches in the mess hall.
That's right. Good old hot dogs.
USS Northampton was one of the ones that went down in those battles. I think it was Tassafaranga.
Oh.
Went down in one of those Solomon battles.
All right, Jim. I see a really good gaming series coming out of this with your knowledge.
We could just rerun one of the other ones. But yeah, we've got all those materials.
Yeah. So on the Japanese side, you've got the Mogami.
Yep.
And I apologize if I butcher the names. My Japanese is not so good. Kumano, Kum, and the Furutaka. And then 3 Fubuki class destroyers.
Those are good destroyers too.
So that's what Japanese Navy gets.
And you can buy the Yamato as a separate.
I know, I saw that, but you know what? I'm not going to go too crazy. I just bought the U.S. starter set.
She said.
I know, I said.
We'll spend the money for you.
Oh, thanks.
The Yamato's not one of those ships that you would buy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, was that the one with the 2 exclusives as well, Jay?
Yes.
Or was it just
I bought the Victory at Sea U.S. Navy pre-order exclusive bundle.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at, yeah.
So, yeah, Yamato was one of those ships that, again, you would buy and it would look great on your shelf, but you'd never really have a chance to use it.
Yeah.
A lot like the Arizona. At least the Arizona, you could use her sister ship as Pennsylvania. But Japanese battleships, I don't know if they've come out with this yet, but Kirishima, Haruna, Hiei, there's a bunch of those that saw, again, those night battles that went on day after night, after week, after month. Again, late 42, early 43. The Japanese were really trying to hold on to Guadalcanal and the other islands there in the southern part of the Solomons, and that by the end of that campaign, the Marines called the waters right off of Guadalcanal, they called it Iron Bottom Sound, because both the Americans and the Japanese have lost so many ships. Tankers, supply ships, troop ships, cargo ships, and warships by the dozen, by the fistful. They were desperate. Both sides were really desperate to hold on to those islands, and they've invested heavily as far as their naval losses go. So a lot of the really good naval battles take place in that campaign, and those are, I don't know if they've come out with it yet, but those are the Japanese battleships you want to look out for. And, those mid-weight 14-inchers.
Okay. Well, in the Japanese fleet right now, in the starter box, you get the Congo class.
That's it. That's them.
Okay. So you get that one. And then
Congo and Kirishima, I believe, are sister ships. I could be wrong about that, but
yeah. So I mean, it looks like It's interesting. We'll see how it plays before I get too deep into it. And I got a million other games I've got to play. I wish I could get I wish I could be quarantined to the house for 2 weeks. That'd be grand.
Can you not have a little bit of a cough?
I mean, unfortunately, it would be that easy just to report to work and say, I've got a fever and a cough, and then, go home. But it doesn't help with everything else that's going on. So
no. I mean, we were joking and working about that in our office because we weren't being sent home. It was like, but, you don't want to do that. It's usually no.
No.
I have a question for people.
Yeah.
Of sorts. It's after a conversation we had 2 weeks ago, where Gaz mentioned one of my favorite video games in one of his.
Which is
Tenchu, Gaz.
Yeah, Tenchu Stealth Assassins.
Tenchu Stealth Assassins. I've been on the lookout for a decent rule set with stealth mechanics, because I thought about that as a possibility of a project for me to do at some point, which is, for people who don't know and don't remember Tenchu was a game on the PlayStation?
I'm not sure. I think it was a single platform, but...
Yeah, I think it was the original PlayStation. It was an Activision game, and you played basically a ninja, and the object was to infiltrate and kill a target inside of a compound. So a bit like, it came out roughly the same time as the original Metal Gear and Splinter Cell, where stealth games were very much the thing. So I'm on the lookout for, or does anybody know, a decent stealth mechanic game? I did have a look at Black Ops. And I had a look at Ronin as well, the Osprey games.
Right.
To see if there's a way of mashing those together.
Have you looked at Test of Honor? Because they have ninja rules.
I haven't got Test of Honor. I haven't got a copy of it. And I can't find the rules anywhere. That was the other thing, as well, as I was looking for minis. And, of course, you can't get the old Test of Honor minis anymore.
No. You know what you can get, though, is Bushido. They have ninjas.
Mm-hmm. It was just an idea for... Yeah. It was just... something that try and get a mechanic in place first that could then either be expanded to doing it physically, with people opposite you, or do it digitally the same way Jim does,
Yeah.
And of course, the idea is either all the players play a group of ninja, or you have one player or two players playing the guards, and the other player, one or two players playing the ninja, and the object is to assassinate a character within the compound. I played a very, very... This must be going back a few years. It is going back a few years because we played it with 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons, and we played it where we all played ninja in the adventure. And the object
talking about 2nd edition D&D, you're not going back a couple years. You're going back a couple decades.
It's years to me, Jim. Trust me.
No. 2nd edition D&D was the only kind of D&D I ever played. That's actually the best one. Absolutely.
It is.
I wasn't making fun of you, Ralph. I was supporting you.
Yeah, I know. It's just years to me, Jim, that's all. It just feels years to me, not decades.
Who is making Test of Honor these days? Great for Games? What's Great for Games?
Footstore.
Is it Footstore?
Doing the minis. Footstore doing the minis. I think they got it back.
Okay.
It's Footstore, I'm sure. Because they've got the... Footstore doing the minis because they've got Test of Honor 2 up, and they've got the 7 Samurai as a set. So if anybody sees a stealth game or has some mechanics that might work, drop us a message.
Yeah, please.
I'll have a look. Because I think that would be an interesting project. Maybe even an interesting participation game.
Yeah. All right.
For when convention.
Yeah, most definitely. Because, we're still looking to do some participation stuff at some game cons. Like I said, we were supposed to be working with the guys from Little Wars, and we were going to have a booth and cover it for them and do some things. And unfortunately, I don't know that's going to happen.
That's,
with everything going on. And then we were supposed to do stuff with the guys from Black Powder Red Earth, the actual creator of the story, and unfortunately Adepticon has now been canceled. We'll have to see at Historicon, because I think Historicon might be a definite one for us to go to, or be part of somehow.
Cold Wars 2020 went ahead.
Yeah, I know. Surprising.
The other event that team does, it was heavily modified. They cut back a lot. There was all like this, special considerations or whatever. But same facility, same hotel up in Lancaster, the same, that's a really good facility, by the way. We had a great time up there. The hotel rooms were sweet. It was not like Motel 6, the usual hotel room you go to at a convention. They put us in nice hotel rooms.
Awesome.
Took care of us up there.
So we'll have to see if we can make that happen. So, Jim, we might want to put that on your calendar, huh?
Yep, as long as it's not near another quarter, which Historicon is not. So, as far as stealth mechanics go, there's really two ways to do it that I can think of, or that I've seen done successfully. One is the good way, but it's a huge pain in the ass. Basically, you need a referee, and you need 2 tables.
Yeah.
Double blind. Or, again, like we've done, you mentioned, we've done with Even Gianna, is the use of dummy counters.
Yeah.
It's not the best, and I've seen dummy counters used in miniature gamings as well. It's a Crucible of War for the Saratoga battles by Martin and Jamie Veeder up there in New York. I've seen it done at Historicon. So it's doable. It's just, how much abstraction do you want?
Yeah.
The one good thing about dummy counters is you can simulate. This works with like modern warfare and like an electronic warfare setting. One side or the other can get more or less. Like, okay, you can have like an electronic warfare, or in a ninja game, you can have like some sort of like detection phase where it's like, okay, you roll at the beginning of the turn, so many guards wake up, or the guards drink extra coffee, or who knows what. The guards are a little bit more alert now. Okay, the ninja player has to remove 1 dummy counter, or the ninja player has to remove 2 dummy counters, or whatever. And just by removing those dummy counters or adding new dummy counters, all of a sudden, the players, the battlefield becomes either more or less opaque, which I think is what you want in a stealth game. I'm not a video game expert, but that's the kind of thing that you really want to look for in at least a limited information battlefield game, which I know a little bit more about.
I must admit, I didn't think about it for a while because obviously it's a bit of a passion for me. And my idea was for each of the guards, you basically have a step and a direction count. So you mark a start point at the beginning of the game, and then they have 3 or 4 different options of what they do as part of their guard movement, like watching a guard force and getting their routines. And when your stealth assassin turns up or the team turns up, you roll for each guard to see which one he starts at, and they start those patterns. And then you've got a couple of NPCs almost that you can control. So those guys go and check on the guard, and the dog handler moves in random direction. So you kind of walking into a bit.
I mean, the other one as well I did have a look at, and is Spectre does alert and unalert and stealth as a mechanic within that 2nd edition rulebook, which Marty will get to see a little bit later.
Yes.
Also, Black Ops did it, the Osprey game. They've got a whole section on stealth mechanics within that rule set, and I thought possibly mixing, taking the Ronin rule set that Osprey did, and possibly sliding in that stealth mechanic into it. But I'm not sure how well it would mesh per se. Yes, they're Osprey games and stuff, so it was just a thought. And after we got chatting about it, I thought, that would actually make a really good participation game, mainly because it is, you can have a referee or a couple of referees, and you have one group of people who are come along who play the guards, and 1 or 2 people who play the stealth the ninja within that. And just from an aesthetic and a viewpoint of view, you look at, say, is it Foreground do a lot of the ancient Japan?
They do a little bit. I think it's Sarissa. Is it Bandua as well? Bandua games.
I think Sarissa as well. Sarissa's got a lot. Yeah.
Well, if you've already got the referee, then absolutely, that's the way to do it. The reason that's sometimes not the best option is because you have to find a referee. But if you've already got that hurdle beat, then it's almost a no-brainer. That's totally the way to go.
I think for a participation game, you would need probably a referee. I think it would just help the mechanics of a stealth game or of that type ilk run faster. I mean, the other one for a participation game would be do this whole 7 Samurai. Just have some quick, dirty rules and have, group of people turn up. If they say you got 10 people coming to the table or 7 people coming to the table, each of them could play one of the samurai, and the referee could play the horde that's attacking.
If you do that, you could double tables and do the Western version as well.
Yeah, you could do
you could show the jump history, the period history jumps.
So that kind of leads me to an idea. All right, so everybody, I have one question. Right now, what is each one of you's use? Yeah, one of you guys.
I was going to say, is English losing it there for you, Jay? Is it
easy for you to say? I'm from Chicago, so we say "you guys." So, what period right now, where event interests you, has grabbed your attention recently? So, Ralph, obviously, sounds like you've got some feudal, ancient Japan. Yeah,
but also being drawn towards the Old West.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Nice.
I just like the look of some of the tables, and I like the look of some of the minis out there. The
Knuckle Duster makes really great minis.
Gunslinger Paradise about to come out.
Yeah,
that's the reason with Gunslinger Paradise coming out. That sort of drew my attention, especially with them having campaign rules within that.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on.
And there's some good terrain for it.
Yeah, was it Knuckle Duster?
I have
It's the other
a
one that
couple
does
of
Dead Man's
Knuckle
Hand.
Duster sets.
Is that who does Dead Man's Hand?
No, that's
Because that was the set I was looking at, because they're easier to get in the UK, the Dead Man's Hand set.
Dead Man's Hand is. Oh, who is it? It totally escapes me.
Yeah, it's escaping me once.
All right, who's got the best Google foo?
Great Escape game.
Yes.
Yeah. The reason I looked at them is they've got some. I quite like the look of the minis. They've got a nice set of Pinkertons. Really nice set of Pinkerton minis. They've done both sets of Magnificent Seven as well.
Yeah.
They've got the Yul Brynner set, but they've also got the new set with Denzel Washington when the remake came out. I just quite like the look of the minis. There's a nice set of minis. So it was Dead Man's Hand, and they're easier to get in the UK.
Oh, okay. Yeah, over here it would probably be Knuckle Duster. He makes amazing stuff. And now that he's gone to digital sculpting, it's even sharper. Because he used to do everything by hand, but now he's doing digital. And I'm just looking at some pictures on Google, and one of them that was painted up was Rowdy Jack, which is just a typical cowboy, with hat, scarf, typical, but it looks really good. They let's just put it this way: they're not the freaking Wild West Exodus crud. Okay.
Oh yeah.
No.
I say that jokingly because I was friends with Romeo and the original creators of the game, and I know Wayland Games has it now, but it's just I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like the steampunk Western thing. I like if you're gonna do Western, right? So yeah. Yeah, I like Western. That's a good theme. That's a really good theme. How about you, Gaz?
Yeah. Because
Go on, Ralph.
Go on, Gaz. No, it's fine. I'll finish off. It's all right. Go.
I think just from a purely miniature, what Jim said before about the sometimes the ranges being limited in what you can do paint-wise because you're painting large forces and you're kind of sticking to army colours. Blood and Plunder. I think pirates, because there's a lot of different factions out for Blood and Plunder now, and all the miniatures, you don't need a high miniature count. You've got the ships involved as well. You can do land fights, you can do from ship to land, but the actual miniatures for the different factions are very distinguishable by what they wear and how they carry themselves, and I think it'd be a real fun project to pick up some of the factions.
And again, some awesome terrain. They got that huge boat.
Hell yeah.
Well, you can get the cheap.
It's all that size, isn't it?
Really good boats as well. Just look, because Dark Cops, which is now owned by.
There's a lot you can do with that. You can even bring in sort of Native Americans, landings and stuff as well. So you don't really have to stick within that range. You can branch out to various parts of the world because they were pretty much all over the place.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. How about you, Jim?
We were talking about it before, so I won't belabor the point, but American Revolution.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good one.
That's always been my favorite. To be honest, if we're really asking me, we're asking for an honest answer.
Yeah.
What areas we're interested in. How about anything but Band of Brothers, for the love of God. World War II, 1944 to 45, Northwestern Europe, everyone has done it to death. I don't want to shut down World War II entirely, but let's do something like Iwo Jima, or like we were talking about before, naval battles in the Pacific, or some part of World War II that hasn't been just like oversaturated.
Sure.
If I have to look at one more bolt action table of American paratroopers versus German Wehrmacht infantry, you gotta gouge my eyes out with an ice pick. No, I'm just kidding, but not really. No, it's just but anything but that, but. If we're going to, as far as like a targeted thing, like something that I'm actually interested in, I've got pixels on the screen. I've got play tests already done. I just have to think of a name for the stupid thing. American Revolution.
Nice. All right, Marty, you're up.
So, being the noob of the group, if you will, and being fairly new to getting into the hobby in any kind of serious fashion, my interest is kind of all over the place. They're all shiny objects to me at this point, and I like a lot of them. I am very interested in the Gunslinger's Paradise rule set that's coming out. That seems like it'll be really cool, and there's a lot of good terrain already that would go with it. I've been seeing a lot of that lately, so that has my interest. Jim, the American Revolution, you've convinced me. I'm in. I like that idea. I wasn't kidding when I said I'm really good at losing. I do that a lot, but I get to play and I have a good time. So
there you go.
That's what counts.
Absolutely.
So that's why I say I think I'm your perfect player.
Well, I mean, the dirty little I say this all the time, but the dirty secret of historical wargaming is that war is never fair. And the more realistic and accurate you make your historical war game, the more that unfairness is going to creep in. And you've got to get good with the designer. Is when I say, I mean you. The designer really has to have a handle on asymmetrical victory conditions. So yeah, it's usually against the Patriots, but sometimes it's for. Again, Trenton is the notable exception there. But yeah, it's. How do you make the game fair but the battle remain unfair? We did it with Iwo Jima a couple weeks ago. The Japanese are going to lose. They're going to lose to the last man, but you still have to be able to win the game. And of course, have fun. And for the winning, it's also boring for the winning side. I mean, if you're playing the Germans in France in 1940, or the Soviet, or like in the Soviet Union in 41, or the Marines on Iwo Jima, and the victory conditions are not asymmetrical, your Japanese player is going to be upset, and your American player is going to be bored to tears because it's like just arrange more fire, roll dice. Hey, look, I killed everybody. Rinse, repeat. Asymmetrical victory conditions is what makes historical wargaming work. So yeah, I mean, as far as you lose all the time, you might lose the battle, but it should still be possible for you to win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm the guy that I'm there to play. So I'm not terribly concerned about how much I win or lose. I'm not a competitive player by any means, and most of the games that I play aren't even offered competitively, really. There's not tournament play for them. They're narrative-based games, and we've got a good scenario or some crazy off-the-wall scenario that we're playing, and it's just here you go. This is the setup. Let's have at it and see how it turns out.
Sounds awesome.
I would like to point out that you crushed me at dust. At this point,
that's one of my 2 victories there. So thanks for that, guys. Because I got destroyed the last 3 times I played.
So are you saying that you were lucky against Gaz, or Gaz just that bad?
I'm his perfect opponent. Then,
so, what I will say is that the dice have a lot to say about how good you're going to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of randomization. So. Yeah,
and even in that game, kind of going to Jim's point, I may lose, but it's not your guys aren't going to lose, aren't going to win for free.
Right.
I am that guy. I will do what I can to spoil the objective for you or to reduce your forces, especially if it's a multiplayer game. I may not win, but I'm going to make sure that you are weak enough that one of the other opponents on the table can take you out as well.
Sounds like Marty wants to play the Patriots at Bunker Hill.
Sure.
All right.
Win that battle, said, I think Burgoyne to Gage. He's like, yes, that was a victory. Another such victory will ruin us.
Yeah, right?
They lost 11, over half of their initial landing force. But they did take the objectives. They did technically win. But, yeah, not really.
Yeah, but for the most part, I'm in it for the experience of playing. So I don't get too wrapped around the axle about whether or not I technically won a game or not. I came to play.
Awesome.
You're in it for the lols. That's it.
Exactly. That, and with the games that I play, that's just a part of the hobby. I like building the terrain. I like painting the miniatures. So and oddly enough, I get to do that a lot more than I get to play. So there's all sorts of ways that the hobby can bring you a lot of satisfaction and fun, even when you're not on the table itself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Any last thoughts before we close out the show?
No.
Nope.
Just everybody stay safe, really.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what you're doing, and play the game and play more games.
Yep.
And enjoy this time if you can use it. Enjoy it while you can.
Wash your hands.
All right. So this show will be going out today. This is Saturday, March 21st. So it will be going out to our Patreon subscribers today, and then it will go out to everybody else tomorrow, Sunday the 22nd. So with that in mind, what do we have upcoming for programming? Jim, you're doing HK Ops tomorrow, yes?
HK Ops is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's going to be 5 p.m. GMT at the moment.
Excellent. And then Thursday, somebody, we'll leave it at that. We'll do Bruin View, I hope. We'll see what the world brings, if they'll allow me to do anything. And then Marty and I are going to be filming an unboxing, so that'll go out sometime, hopefully this week, of the Spectre starter set. And, anybody else have anything on their plate they'd like to do in the upcoming week or two?
Something's going out for again, Sons of Liberty, quote unquote. I just don't know what to call it yet. It might be only 5 minutes. Hey, here's the basics of the game. Here's the scale.
Revolutionary War. Jim?
It might be something like that. It might be like Battlefield Revolution or something basic like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you could call it Bleeding Blue and Red.
Except it's not blue and red. Oh my God! We have to
Trolled on your own show.
All right, guys. So with that disappointing note, we're going to go ahead and say see ya. You guys have a great, safe week. We will see you somewhere along the internet waves. Until the meantime, stay safe. Happy gaming. Drive on, fight on, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Paint your stuff.
Are you looking to become a Tier 1 operator in the gaming world? Elevate your games with Black Site Studio Terrain.